Hi, folks. Thanks for joining me today. Can you retire at 60 with $1 million in the bank? That's the question that we're going to try and answer today. In today's example, we're going to do a hypothetical analysis on Clark Kent, age 60, his wife Lois Lane at age 58, and see if they can retire with $1 million in an IRA and a 401k account. Stay tuned as we walk through the analysis, and I'll give you the answer about halfway through. Okay, so for today's hypothetical analysis, we're looking at Clark Kent and Lois Lane. Clark is 60 years old. Lois is 58. We think Clark's going to live a normal lifespan to about 82. We think Lois is also going to live a normal lifespan to about 85. Clark and Lois have saved up $1 million in their IRA slash 401k. They get the same tax treatment, so we're going to consider them the same here. We think Clark's full retirement Social Security is going to be about $36,000 a year, and that's going to be an important factor. I'll talk about that here in a minute. We think inflation is going to fall to about 2.5% over the course of their retirement. And just so you're wondering, that's actually slightly higher than the inflation that we've experienced over the last 100 years. So we're overestimating inflation's impact on their living expenses. So let's take a look at some of the factors that we considered in doing this analysis. One of the key factors in analyzing anybody's retirement is understanding what's in the portfolio. For Clark and Lois, we've selected a pretty standard, moderate aggressive portfolio allocation for their $1 million in savings. What that means is the portfolio has approximately 64% in equities and 36% in bonds. Now, the reason this is important is because each one of those asset classes, stocks and bonds, each has a separate risk and reward profile, meaning there's a different return and a different risk associated with each one of those. But we take essentially the weighted average estimate for return to come up with a portfolio return of about 5.1%. And then for each year of the retirement, we're assuming that there's a standard deviation of about 11%. And that's what that means in layman's term is every year we hope to make about 5% plus and minus 11%. Okay, so that means every year in the analysis, we expect the rate of return to go up and down by 11% around that long-term average. What that allows us to do is to calculate a probability of success. So we run a Monte Carlo analysis. A Monte Carlo analysis is merely a simulation looking forward in time, and we're randomizing the rate of return that we're getting on the portfolio because there's a lot of uncertainty. And so if we can get a probability of success of 80% or greater for Clark and Lois, then we're very confident that they will have plenty of money to spend all the way through the end of Lois's plan because she's obviously going to live a little bit longer than Clark. We can see that down here in what I call the Blue Angel chart. This solid blue line is the median portfolio value going through retirement. And you can see there's some money left over at the very end if we take average return expectations, where Lois will have about $550,000 left over at the end of the plan if we get average rates of return on stocks and bonds. But what we're worried about is if we get below average rates of return on stocks and bonds. And so that's why we're looking down here at the bottom end of this range. So this dark shaded blue area is the 75th percent confidence interval, meaning at this very bottom of the blue edge, 75% of the time, stock and bonds are going to return above what's in this portion of the rate of return. And so when we're doing the analysis, we're actually assuming that 79% of the time, there's a likelihood that the stock and bond returns are going to be in excess of what generate this probability. And so the key here is, can you retire at 60 with $1 million in the bank? And the answer is yes, but you can spend $70,000 a year doing that. Okay. The odds are you're probably going to be able to spend more and the portfolio is going to probably do better. But from this vantage point at age 60, looking out 22 years for Clark and almost 27 years for Lois, we want to assume that we are going to get below average rates of return and figure out what that rate of spending is. On this slide, you can see an analysis of where income is going to come from for Clark and Lois over the course of their entire retirement. So here we are at Clark's age 60, and we're going to be drawing from the IRA for the first 10 years of retirement. And then at age 70, we're recommending that Clark begin taking his Social Security and Lois taking her spousal benefit at the same time. Now, what does this get you? If you delay taking your Social Security past your full retirement age, you will be able to get an increase in that Social Security benefit that will carry all the way through retirement. Now, the reason this is important for both Clark and Lois is that once Clark accepts the higher deferred Social Security payment, when he passes, Lois will assume that higher primary benefit. So if they took their Social Security at the full retirement age 68, yes, they would get that Social Security money sooner and they would draw down their IRA less. But over the course of the retirement, Lois would have less money to spend at the end of her life than if they deferred the Social Security till then. We can actually quantify that. Let's take a look here at the Social Security analysis. By delaying taking Social Security, Clark and Lois add $92,000 to their overall retirement. They get $92,000 more from the government than if they took Social Security at the full retirement age. And here in these gray bars, you can see Social Security being taken at the full retirement age. And then, of course, you see these blue bars, you see how they're higher than the gray bars? That means that they have delayed taking Social Security and they're getting a higher benefit through the course of their retirement. And even after Clark passes, Lois will receive the higher benefit going all the way through her lifespan. And that adds $92,000 to the plan. There is a break point. So some people might wonder, well, if I live a long time or if I live a shorter time, that's going to impact whether that taking Social Security is beneficial for me or not. And so this kind of shows you that if you delay taking Social Security to get the higher benefit and you die before you take Social Security or you die before this 82 year age breakpoint, yes, you're going to get slightly less dollars from the Social Security plan. But one of the side benefits of delaying taking Social Security is it's an option on longevity. In other words, if you live to be 90 or 100, you're going to get a lot more money out of the Social Security system. And you can kind of see that the farther out you go, the more money you get. Let's look at some of the risks associated with Clark and Lois's retirement plan. And in our program here, we've looked at several stresses, key risks to the long-term retirement plan. So here you can see the probability for the baseline retirement. That's the 80% probability of success. And we've modeled different types of scenarios. There's an immediate market drop of 20%, taxes go up, Social Security gets reduced, longevity, meaning they live longer than Clark and Lois live longer than expected. Inflation's a little higher than expected. Healthcare expenses are a little higher than expected. And you can see here that the most impactful stresses to this retirement analysis are an immediate market drop of about 20%. That's going to have a big impact on their retirement. But here's the one that most people don't get, and that's Social Security getting cut. So if Social Security gets reduced, let's see if gets reduced by 20%, that winds up having a very significant, in other words, the most significant impact on the long-term plan. And if I go back to this sources of income chart, you can kind of see that. Here, these purple bars are the Social Security income factor going through the balance of their retirement from age 70 to Lois's age 85. And so a reduction in Social Security will be the most impactful risk associated with this retirement plan. So the short answer is at age 60 with $1 million, Clark and Lois at age 60 and 58 respectively can retire. We estimate that they can spend safely $70,000 a year and that the largest risk to their retirement is a reduction in Social Security. We've factored in a reduction in the stock market, higher inflation, and some of those have a modest impact, but it's the reduction in Social Security that has the biggest impact. So it's good news. At age 60 with $1 million, you can retire. Let's have a look at one more part of the analysis, and then we'll wrap it up. On this page, what we're showing is the cash flow summary. And I mentioned earlier that we do a Monte Carlo analysis, and really the Monte Carlo is applied to market rates of return on the portfolio. But this analysis shows the cash inflows that are coming in to Clark and Lois, the cash outflows that are going to affect their spending. And here you can see, I mentioned earlier that you can spend $70,000, and you can see each year in the retirement, it's going up by 2.5% per year. Your spending doesn't go down, it only goes up. It's the rate of return on the portfolio that we're uncertain about. But you can see here, we've got in this column here, the year column, the age column. They're retiring at age 60 and 58 respectively. They're going to take retirement, or going to take Social Security at age 70, which is delayed 2 years past the full retirement age. And you can see here, as they're withdrawing money from their IRA, they're actually paying some income taxes. And that's all fine. And over here on the right side, we can see the net flows from the IRA, which I mentioned earlier. So we're trying to quantify the balance between withdrawals from the IRA to support spending and other sources of income. Well, the primary source of other income here in this analysis is Social Security. And you can see by the second or third year of taking Social Security, the draw on the portfolio goes down dramatically. And so through the mid part of retirement, they're really not drawing on the portfolio at all. And towards the tail end of retirement, they're actually drawing less than they need to. In other words, there are required minimum distributions that they're not going to be needing, and there'll actually be a buildup of after-tax money as they're going through retirement. So that's our analysis on Clark and Lois. How can they retire at age 60? How can they retire at age 60 with $1 million? They spend $70,000 a year, and they take Social Security at Clark's age 70, when Lois can then take her spousal benefit. Thank you very much for joining me today for this analysis. If you'd like some more information, you can reach us at the phone number down below. We'd be happy to talk to you. Thank you very much, and have a great day. If you found this analysis helpful, please hit that like and subscribe button down on the bottom, or give us a call. We'd really like to hear from you. Thank you very much.